So in this segment, we're going to be talking about freedom of movement now becomes a Brexit sticking point. And this is ironic because these rules were implemented in July of last year, and now suddenly Liz Truss, who is the kind of Brexit minister, should I say, I did confuse it last time with Rees-Mogg's new role even. But this is funny. Okay, so follow with me here. UK negotiators have told Brussels to scrap Irish sea border rules, which mean British cows must have their ears retagged with EU codes when they arrive in Northern Ireland after Brexit. So I'm not sure how difficult this thing is to implement because I'm not a farmer or someone who works in agriculture. So if you do, let me know in the comments. So I'm not sure. They do make it out like it's a massive annoyance over anything. So under the terms of the protocol, the province continues to follow EU animal and plant health rules to prevent a hard border with the rest of Ireland, an EU member. So cows have ear tags. So if we actually look at the photo above, you can see big ear tags like that. Those nice earrings with an ID number and a country code, allowing them to be tracked and to trace outbreaks of disease. So it makes sense to have these, especially with the UK's history of mad cow disease. It makes sense to have these things set up just in case, so you can really isolate any outbreaks of diseases. After EU rule changes last year, livestock in Northern Ireland must be identified with a Northern Ireland specific code in their ear, which replaces the existing UK country identification code. So what I'm gathering from this is once a live cow is exported into Northern Ireland, it has to be retagged so that essentially it can go into Ireland or another EU member state, which, if that's the case, these cows are going to do a lot more travelling than I am. British cows entering Northern Ireland for meat production or breeding have to have their ear tags replaced because they are from a non-EU country. That's us. That's GB. They also face border checks in post-Brexit restrictions to their freedom of movement within the UK, which, again, makes sense. All these things have to be checked. EU cows transiting through Britain to Northern Ireland do not have to be retagged. So is this really a big problem then, that EU cows transiting through Britain to Northern Ireland? So essentially it means this will be a bit rare. I mean, this is a good thing really when you think about it. It took me a minute to really figure it out, but if you got, say, live cows, you're moving from France to Northern Ireland, they can go through okay. No, they don't have to be retagged, which is a good thing. But I don't know how many examples of that you would actually get. I suppose it'd be mainly from Ireland to Northern Ireland, really, not France. That was a stupid example. The government argues that retagging is burdensome red tape for cows. I mean, surely you would have known that in the Northern Ireland Protocol when you signed up for it. Unless you're saying that you didn't know what you're signing up to and you're arguing incompetence. Because that's a very risky road to go down. And that cows meant to stay in Northern Ireland do not have to travel into the EU. And again, it's going to be a bit difficult to do that because once the cow goes from Northern Ireland towards Ireland or into Ireland, you're going to have to check the ear tags, and if they have the GB ones, that's going to cause huge problems. That's why it's changed here, so then those cows can go to Ireland no problem. The existing tagging system already differentiates between British and Northern Irish cows. It said, well, maybe this is one of the things where the UK and the EU can come to an agreement then, if this is the case. This is one of the things that if it's causing problems in Northern Ireland, maybe that's one of the things where the EU can say, cool, you keep your standards where they are, then we can keep this in place. But, the UK constantly talking about deregulation will not help this. Unions and trade associations told The Telegraph that protocol border checks had hit trade in livestock between Northern Ireland and Britain. And the thing is, right, it'd be Britain to Northern Ireland, really. The thing is, right, surely you would have known this back when you've, negotiated the protocol. Again, if you're going to argue incompetency, that's dangerous. Point being is that, of course, it was going to impact trade from GB to NI. Of course it was, because you're putting massive trade barriers in the way, which the government came up with and ran on. So this argument that, it's causing major problems and all this stuff, the government always knew this was going to happen. They always knew it. So, trade was always going to be damaged from GB to NI. That's why, they have those sort of mechanisms in the protocol to talk about unexpected things. This was totally expected. The rules set out in Northern Ireland, the Northern Ireland Protocol, means that the exports of live farm animals from GB to NI is very difficult and costly. Which, again, this is what happens when you're a third party country. I can't remember the exact phrasing. A third country. This is what happens. You face trade barriers, which curtails most trade, which is why you're seeing trade between Ireland and Northern Ireland increase so much. The Gail Suter, the chief international trade advisor for the National Farmers Union, which is, for British farmers, they would make this point, wouldn't they, that their trade is being impacted negatively by the protocol, but the protocol is always going to do stuff like this. The NFU called for pragmatic solutions and that the protocol risks long-term damage to the pedigree of livestock sector. Again, is this important? Does anyone really care? You're not talking about Kobe beef here, are you? And limited the availability and quality of genetics for Northern Irish farmers. But, unless you're saying Ireland doesn't have any high-grade cows, which I'm sure they do, again, this just opens the door further for Ireland to make more money from Brexit. Neil Shand, the chief executive of the National Beef Association, said British cows arriving in Northern Ireland normally had 3 ear tags, 2 dating from birth, which all had to be removed and replaced with 2 Northern Ireland tags, which, okay, it does sound annoying to do, but this is what happens when you're a third country. The EU believes the rule is needed to differentiate cows in Northern Ireland from cows in the rest of UK, which, makes sense, I suppose. However, British officials argue that the existing tracing system already makes it possible to trace bovine movements and distinguish cattle in Northern Ireland from the rest of the UK, which, again, potentially, if this is the case where we have a really good tracking system, this is a potential negotiating point for the UK. One of the things that maybe we can look at lessening when it comes to the Northern Ireland Protocol, which Maros Sefcovic is trying to do. They are looking at getting on agreements with medicines, something I'll cover at a later date, something I need to talk about with someone first so I can fully understand it. The rules are burdensome because they require veterinary inspectors to supervise the tagging and new tags to be brought. British negotiators have argued, well, who else do you want there? Do you not want vets there? I mean, again, you guys knew what you signed up for with the protocol. Liz, you voted for this. You voted to support it. You can't come out and say, oh, this is so unexpected, me. Like, it's not, though, because this would have been part of the protocol. It's ridiculous. There's an increasing risk of misidentifying livestock. There is an increased risk of animals being misidentified because of the new bureaucracy. I mean, how are you going to misidentify a cow? Especially if vets are involved to supervise everything. Last June, the EU changed the rules to prevent UK cows from being tagged and retagged every time they move between Britain and Northern Ireland, which, again, is a concession the EU gave us to help us when it comes to trade between GB and NI, which, again, is great. Which makes it easier for Irish farmers to attend agricultural shows on the mainland, which this is good. That's a good thing the EU has done. The UK wants the number of Irish sea border checks on British goods reduced because it's having a chilling effect on trade with Northern Ireland and causing supply chains to shift to the EU. And for a lot of this stuff, I would tell people in the British government and the people moaning about this, cry more, because this is what the Northern Ireland Protocol was going to do. This is what happens when you leave a customs union for goods. This is the Northern Ireland Protocol is a very good example of what happens when you leave. When you decide to leave a trading bloc, really, and create a thin-gruel trade deal, because all of these problems are worse between GB and France, but they don't talk about that much, do they? I wonder why. Ireland's Central Statistics Office said imports from Northern Ireland to the rest of Ireland jumped 65% last year with the protocol took effect compared to 2020. And again, inter-Ireland trade makes sense because they're part of the same customs union and single market for goods. This is helping Ireland. Exports from Ireland to Northern Ireland rose by 54%, while imports from the rest of the UK to Ireland dropped 13%. I mean, is anyone surprised? You get the goods where you can get them easiest, even if it means you have to transport, it takes longer to transport them. In October, Brussels offered to cut the number of Irish sea border checks in return for bolstered market surveillance. Why is that? Because what the EU really want to know is, okay, are goods going from GB to Ireland via Northern Ireland as kind of to get around, the rules and things like that? If there were like Northern Ireland specific goods, are they sneaking through the border essentially? And so the EU wanted more surveillance, more data, on what's going through from NI to Ireland, but the UK won't actually give them the data. So it makes the EU's position having to be like, well, you're gonna have to check more stuff, aren't you? We're not going to get rid of the checks because we need to know what stuff's going from GB to NI and what stuff is going from NI to Ireland. I think that's the key. Those are the key problems here, and that's what the EU wants more data on. But the UK have been stalling on this. I don't know why. And this is to ensure that unchecked British goods were not crossing into Ireland, especially as the UK starts deregulating, the Oz deal kicks in, and the EU are going to want to stop any of that hormone beef getting into their single market. That's what they want, and so that's why the EU have said, look, we just want to see the data you're looking at, and the UK have been like, yeah, bro, we're really working on that, and if only you could get rid of the checks on the RSC, and because they're causing real problems in like Stormont and that, and this is really kind of your fault. So can you do something? And the EU just show us the data, and the UK yeah, bro, we're working on that, man, and just make the border cuts and that, it's just ridiculous. But yeah, the people are arguing, oh, this could not be foreseen and all this stuff. Like, where you been for the last 2-3 years? Like, this is what the Northern Ireland Protocol was always going to do. It was always going to stop trade or reduce trade between GB and NI because you're putting trade checks in the way. That's what this Northern Ireland Protocol does. It puts a trade border in the Irish Sea. And so what's easier for people in Northern Ireland to do? To import from GB, where you're going to have to go through a load of customs checks and other things, right? Or is it easier to import stuff from Ireland, where those checks won't happen and it's on the same landmass? Is it even easier to import goods from France, which is further away, but it doesn't have to go through the checks and there's no chance of your goods being rejected because they're coming from an EU member state rather than importing from GB, where if someone does the paperwork wrong, your goods get rejected, your import gets blocked. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.